It may seem counterintuitive, but in the process of making marketing more intelligent, artificial intelligence has the ability to make your brand more human. Hi, I'm Paul Roetzer, founder and CEO of Marketing Artificial Intelligence Institute. In this video, we're going to talk about how AI can make your brand more human, what it means to your consumers, what it means to your employees, and how you can be sure to use AI for good in your organization. When we think about the goals of what AI enables, the two primary things are cost reduction and revenue acceleration. So when you talk about cost reduction to any business, you immediately think about reduction of workforce. And if you're an employee over in an organization that is looking at using artificial intelligence in new and exciting ways, it's very natural to wonder, does that mean I won't have a job? So the key to making a brand more human in this process is not to look at AI as a way to reduce your workforce, to cut the staff, to cut costs across. What it is looking at ways to drive efficiencies in your workforce, to drive efficiencies across the business, and then to redistribute those savings to investing in your people, the purpose behind your business, and the communities you service. What I like to think is that AI might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to truly build purpose-driven businesses that have incredible effects on the people within our organization and the consumers that we service outside of the organization. When you think about the relationship you have with a brand, a couple of the things that make it really strong is not only that you feel a loyalty to that organization because it is a good organization, but more and more today, convenience and personalization. So if you think about the tools you use every day, all the apps in your phone, the information companies where you learn information about what's going on in the world, the social media companies where you find out what's going on with your friends, they're presenting a convenience to you. They're personalizing the way you learn and the way you consume information. And you appreciate that. And in the process, you're willing to give up some privacy. So this idea of the human brand actually goes back to you need to achieve convenience and personalization for your consumers because they've come to expect it. Even if you're in the B2B environment, I want the same seamless experience with every brand I work with, even if I'm buying for my agency. I've come to appreciate the way Netflix recommends shows. And so if I go to a B2B website, I want it to recommend to me what else I should read. I don't want to have to go digging for that information. And even as a marketer, it's really hard for me to predict what you may want to read. So I want to be able to, as a consumer, have no friction in my experience with a brand. But I also don't want to feel like they're taking advantage of me, that they're getting more value out of our relationship than I am. And that's the line that some brands can cross when you feel like you're just a data point to them, that they're just trying to collect more and more information so that they can sell more advertising to their buyers. So on the consumer side, we want that convenience and personalization, but we don't want to give up our privacy to get it. The line of where you feel like you're giving too much privacy up is very subjective. So certainly the younger generation at large seems more comfortable giving up a lot more information online. So whether they're using a Facebook or a TikTok or an Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn, it varies as to what the definition of infringement on your privacy is. And so as a brand, though, you need these ethical guidelines. You can't rely on each individual consumer to necessarily know they have the ability to make those choices. You want, as an organization, to use AI in ethical ways and through that, again, become more human. You're not trying to take advantage of them, manipulate their behaviors just based on the data. Your reason for using the data and using the AI is to personalize the experience. And so you need to go in knowing where the line is for your company. From an employee perspective, AI has that ability to make the brand more human by making their jobs more fulfilling, making their careers more rewarding. So when I think about this just with our organization, I look at AI as a way to intelligently automate the data-driven repetitive tasks. a lot of times the marketers in our organization don't want to spend hours going through Google Analytics and trying to find the insights. They're not trained necessarily to do that. Many of them are communications professionals. They're writers by trade. They're creative people. So to ask them to now crunch numbers and find these insights, that's not going to be the most exciting part of their day. So I look at it in some ways as what are the things we do all the time that my team doesn't necessarily enjoy doing that a machine is uniquely capable of doing for us. And so I try and make their jobs better in that instance through that. But when I think big picture and I think down the road, I look at all the other ways we could be using AI. And in the use of it, reduce costs to the business, drive efficiencies, and also be able to predict success more. So I can accelerate revenue by predicting success. Nowhere in that equation do I think, well, if I can do this, I can reduce the staff by 3 people or 5 people, and I can make more money. What I think about is rather than them having to work 50-hour weeks, what if they only had to work 40-hour weeks? Or what if it was even down to 35-hour weeks? What if we could have Fridays free, but they made the same or more money? So and then they could go do more. They can volunteer for nonprofits. They can be in the community. So when I think about the human brand, I truly think about how do we make humanity better? I think about society and bringing this out. And if every organization thought about it the same way, if we didn't think about it as cost reduction equals workforce reduction, and we thought about it as AI equals reducing costs, accelerating revenue, and advancing our purpose for why we exist as a company. And I look at that as we want to create opportunities for people. We want to nurture them and grow them in their careers, but let them also enjoy their personal life. And so that's always how I've tried to run our company anyway. And for me, what I've personally wanted out of my career. And I see AI as a way to maybe finally have that. And so I think for the employees, and again, even going back to the consumers and the brand itself, if there's a vision at the top for how we can use AI for good, and we think about all the stakeholders, I think it can truly transform marketing and business. We use AI in probably over a dozen different ways right now. And again, if you're watching this and you work for a small business, you may be thinking, wow, he must just be talking about big enterprises. No, I own 2 small businesses. And so we look at, an example would be paid media. So we use a tool called WordStream to do management of paid spend. And what that does is our people who are not trained to be digital ad specialists, again, they're communications professionals, creative people, rather than them having to spend months learning how to run digital ad campaigns, and they may not even enjoy that, we can plug a tool in that immediately starts surfacing insights for them, and now they can step back as a strategist and say, well, that makes a ton of sense, I understand. And now they can learn more organically with the machine assisting the strategy. We also use it for content strategy. We use a tool called MarketMuse that helps us figure out what to write, how to enrich the piece of content we're writing, which ends up helping the consumer because consumer finds a piece of content that answers a question. Well, what MarketMuse does is it tells us what other questions we should answer within that document. And that then becomes a value-added piece to the person who's reading it. We use another one called Pattern 89 to predict the success of Facebook ads. Again, we're creatives, but we don't know what's going to work. We don't know what color to use or which version of the headline is going to be successful or whether to have a computer in the picture or 3 people. What they do is they take millions of ads in and predict what's going to work before we ever spend a dollar. So things where people may get frustrated in their career because we're saying, well, manage a digital ad spend. And that's not what I do. I now feel inadequate at my job. I feel like I'm not succeeding because I'm being asked to do something I'm not that good at. So that's where we look at it. It's like if every day you're focusing on the things you're uniquely capable of, and the machine is focusing on what it's uniquely capable of, then you should be more fulfilled in your role.